How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Greetings and welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States. Glad to have you with me. 877-973-7425 is the phone number should you wish to be on the show. Don't forget, if you text golf to 33777, you can get excellent links to both Golfer's Journal and to Van Allen Golf. I'm a big fan of golf. I just got the latest print edition of Golfer's Journal. It's just, if you got anyone in your life who loves golf, use my referral link. I think they send me free Titleist golf balls if many of you subscribe. But yeah, text golf to 33777, Eric to 33777 if you want to get all the show links and show notes and the like. I want to talk about Thomas Massie, and I've put this off for a while because I've kind of been a fan of the guy. We don't actually always see eye to eye. He is way more libertarian than me. He is a very smart guy, smarter than me for sure. Had a tragedy with the death of his wife. He has been a voice in Congress for fiscal sanity. A lot of people attacked him for voting against certain budget measures when he voted for them in the Biden administration, and they forget that Massie cut a deal with Republican leaders that he would vote for a budget during the Biden years in exchange for certain things, and the House Republican leadership then proceeded to stab him in the back thereafter. So Massie has been voting no on a lot of spending measures because he voted yes, I think it was a debt ceiling increase in exchange for some spending cuts, and the Republicans said okay, and then they walked back the spending cuts later. They betrayed Massie, and I have defended him on voting no after voting yes because people weren't aware of the betrayal and the lies. He's been very good at raising the alarm on government spending. Donald Trump has put a target on Thomas Massie's back. Chris LaCivita is running a campaign to defeat Thomas Massie. And instead of just being the Massie, who could be quirky and sometimes drive you a little crazy, he has become a distinct voice of opposition to pretty much anything the Republicans want to do, even the good stuff. And he's also become more and more fringe. At this point, I don't see why Thomas Massie needs to stay in Congress. If anything, he's hurting the people of his district. Consider just a couple of things. Let's start with Jeffrey Epstein. Massie was one of the people who insisted he would go to the floor of the House of Representatives and read the names of the people who should be but weren't indicted. He would read the names of the men who abused the victims. He said this. Thomas Massie is one of the people who he publicly said that he, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, would go read the names of the abusers on the floor of the House. He never actually did that. In fact, the other day I pointed out when Massie said he had gone to the Justice Department and read a bunch of unredacted documents, that there were names of people that needed to be raised. And I said, Congressman, you can do this. You said you were going to. And his reply on Twitter, not tagging me, was, oh, some people say I should go do this on the floor of the House. Why would I? This is the role of the Justice Department. No, you're the one who said you would do it, and you chose not to. And then you and Ro Khanna, the progressive congressman from California, went together to the Justice Department and claimed there were 4 men who needed to be exposed. Both of you did it together, and you allowed Ro Khanna to be the one to name the men, and guess what? None of them were actually related to Jeffrey Epstein. Folks, have y'all heard about this? This is one of the things Thomas Massie did. Thomas Massie just was complicit with Ro Khanna to destroy the life of an innocent man. I have long defended Thomas Massie, and in fact have even defended Thomas Massie's civil libertarian streak against the government and its out-of-control prosecutions and civil asset forfeiture and the like. And Thomas Massie just the other day was complicit in destroying the life of an innocent man and has not only not said he was sorry, he's refused to apologize to the individual, as best I know. Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna went to the Department of Justice to review the unredacted Epstein files, and they together at a press conference claimed there were 4 men whose names needed to be outed. Massie allowed Ro Khanna to be the one to out the names, but Thomas Massie was complicit with Ro Khanna in doing it. And it turns out the 4 men happened to be in a lineup, in a police lineup. None of them were tied to Jeffrey Epstein. It was just 4 men who were put in a police lineup with some of the Epstein associates or Epstein himself. And Ro Khanna named them. One of them was a mechanic in Brooklyn who's now lost his job. He had no ties to Jeffrey Epstein. He happened to be in a police lineup. But Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, so irresponsible, destroyed the life of an innocent man, and they haven't apologized for it. They haven't taken accountability for it. Essentially, they've passed the buck to the Justice Department. So, well, if they'd done a better job, they redacted the names of 4 innocent people that Massie and Khanna decided to expose. That's irresponsible. Donald Trump has broken a lot of people's brains. He has broken Thomas Massie's brain. To destroy the life of an innocent man who happened to be in a police lineup. For Thomas Massie, a man who has oftentimes talked about out-of-control government prosecutions, to be the one to lead the witch hunt with a progressive congressman from California against this innocent mechanic is a bridge too far, but it's not just that. Think of all of the Department of Justice resources that have been consumed with the Epstein stuff because Thomas Massie decided it would be a cute and clever way to get the better of the president. Think of all the lawyers who had to be moved off of criminal cases, drug trafficking cases, counterterrorism prosecutions, and the like to review the Epstein files for Thomas Massie because he wanted to get one up on the president. It's happened. It's real. And what we have been exposed to is what those of us have long known who've paid attention to this, that there is no there. There is no list of human traffickers with Jeffrey Epstein. He himself was the monster. And the rich people who surrounded Jeffrey Epstein and knew he was a monster, it's a damning indictment on them, but there's not any evidence that they were complicit in this. There are very few, Prince Andrew being most among them, maybe Bill Clinton. Most of these people just liked to be around Jeffrey Epstein because Jeffrey Epstein was well connected with other people and they could trade information. And their street cred came from information. There's a quote, I cannot remember where I got it from, but it's so true. The quote is this: information is not power. A lot of people believe having access to information is power. You see that in the circles with Jeffrey Epstein, that a lot of these people wanted to trade knowledge. They wanted to trade intel on circumstances. They wanted to trade insider gossip on different people and their thinking. Knowledge is not power. Information is not power. Having knowledge and information before anyone else is power. The ability to act on knowledge and information before anyone else can is powerful. That's what people sought by the entanglement with Jeffrey Epstein. They weren't there for human trafficking. They were there because they thought Epstein could connect them to other powerful people to give them a leg up on information. It's why, by the way, insider trading is illegal. To act on insider trading to get ahead of others in financial markets, that is real power, and we have made that power illegal. Thomas Massie abused his position as a member of Congress, claiming he would out the people who were trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein. And not only did he never do that, he then went back to the well to insist that the Justice Department was covering these people up, and he had the power to do something about it, but there was no there. He behaved in the same dishonest way he's accused others. One of the great interesting aspects of the years of Donald Trump is how many people believe they can operate just like Donald Trump and get away with it. There's only one Donald Trump. And Thomas Massie made a major strategic mistake to decide to behave like Donald Trump instead of standing up to Donald Trump and behaving in a different way. And now that leads me to Carrie Prejean. Carrie Prejean is a grifter extraordinaire. She came to fame as a, I think, Miss USA competitor, where she also got in trouble for making sex tapes. Her real claim to fame was not being a beauty queen, but being a beauty queen who made sex tapes. She apparently has had a conversion to Christianity. She's now Catholic. Writing in 1 Timothy, the Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy that one should not elevate in the church recent converts because they might get puffed up, and in their ego the devil could take them. We are seeing online people like Carrie Prejean, who are recent converts to Christianity, who now try to espouse Catholic theory when it comes to Zionism and anti-Semitism, and she herself is just an anti-Semite who has packaged her anti-Semitism in her faith. She has contradicted popes. She has contradicted Catholic scholars and theologians. She has contradicted longtime Catholic priests who've said, lady, you are misrepresenting the Catholic faith. You don't know what you're talking about. In fact, you're directly contradicting popes, and you call yourself a Catholic. You should listen to what the Pope says instead of mouthing off about it. A group called Catholics for Catholics or some such came out the other day to defend her. It turns out it's a group started by Steve Bannon of the Epstein fame, who was Jeffrey Epstein's rehabilitator. And you know who is now echoing the Catholic for Catholics defense of Carrie Prejean? Why, none other than Thomas Massie. That's right. Thomas Massie is defending Carrie Prejean, echoing the claims of the Steve Bannon, Jeffrey Epstein protector about the anti-Semitism she has espoused. Thomas Massie, I have always known, has been a critic of Israel, but at this point, it seems like he's not just a critic of Israel. He's actually descended into the same anti-Semitism that people like Carrie Prejean and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson have espoused. So you have an anti-Semite conspiracy theorist who has destroyed the life of an innocent man, all in an effort to get Donald Trump, and he claims some sort of moral high ground. At this point, there's no use for Thomas Massie. There are other people who can do the work that he has done to stand up to Donald Trump on fiscal sanity in Washington, D.C. as a conservative member of Congress. Other people can do the job without the insanity that Thomas Massie has brought to this. I don't quite know what has happened to him. Is it the loss of his wife? Is it his isolation in Congress? What has caused the man to become insane? But it is appalling to see his current behavior, his peddling in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, his willingness to destroy an innocent auto mechanic from Brooklyn, New York, just to try to get the better of Donald Trump, his demand that the Department of Justice divert vast resources of the Department of Justice to be able to dive into the Epstein conspiracy theory when there is no there and those people can't do the jobs they were meant to do, all to humor a member of Congress who himself could have gone to the well of the floor of the House of Representatives and outed all the people he said he was going to out and then pretended like, I don't have the power to do that. That's on the Department of Justice. Why should anyone defend him at this point? Thomas Massie has proven himself to be no better than the worst impulses of the people he claims he's against. Instead of shining light and being salt in the world, he's just decided to become spicy for the sake of getting internet attention, and he has devalued now his representation of his constituents in Kentucky and destroyed the life of an innocent man, all for the giggles of owning Donald Trump. At this point, Thomas Massie should be defeated. Guys, let's talk about life insurance for a moment. If you're married, you got kids, you probably want to start thinking about life insurance. Where do you go? How do you get it? And did you know if you receive life insurance through your job and you're laid off, you suddenly could be covered with nothing? These are the things you got to start thinking about as you start growing up. I had to think about them. You got to think about them. So think about them with SelectQuote. Head to SelectQuote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. Don't have a medical exam? Don't want a medical exam? No problem. They partner with providers offering same-day coverage up to $2 million without needing to visit your doctor. And unlike other one-size-fits-all insurance companies, SelectQuote's licensed agents, they work with you. In as little as 15 minutes, they can compare policies from top-rated carriers and get what you and your family need. So go to SelectQuote.com and get a licensed insurance agent to help you. In fact, SelectQuote.com/Eric. SelectQuote.com/ERICK. SelectQuote.com/Eric. Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. Well, there's lots of gossip down in Florida. Ron DeSantis played golf with Donald Trump. Is there an opening in the cabinet? Perhaps, maybe. Is Pam Bondi going away, or someone, or Kristi Noem, somebody? DeSantis is term limited. Interestingly, they're playing golf with Saban and Urban Meyer, and I saw that, and my first thought was, gosh, maybe the four of them are talking about the NIL stuff and how to fix the name and likeness stuff. Name, image, like it is what's happening to college sports with NIL is awful. There's no team loyalty anymore. Kids are just bouncing around from team to team in search of money. They're not actually even getting educated at this point. It's just it's pitiful to watch and see what's happening. So it would be great if and in fact, I was told that there are a number of members of Congress who are trying to persuade Nick Saban to take the lead on the reform effort for NIL, that he was hesitant to do it. But he would be a great one to do it. Maybe DeSantis and Trump and Urban Meyer put the pressure on Saban, or maybe they were there talking about DeSantis having some role play, or maybe it was just a friendly golf game. You know, when you play golf with the president of the United States, DeSantis is a pretty good golfer, apparently. Better than me, for sure. But it leads to lots and lots of speculation about the private conversations on the golf course and whether or not he could have a role in a Trump administration. I don't know. We will see. You know, Casey DeSantis is rumored to possibly be looking at running for a special election seat in Florida. And speaking of special elections, there's one in Georgia for Congress, and Donald Trump just announced he'll be going to Rome, Georgia, up the road from me on Thursday to talk about his economic plan. And he is also supporting a candidate up there, Clay Fuller, is Donald Trump's choice for the 14th congressional district. Fuller is actually a really good choice. Now, got a dog in the fight, Tom Gray, friend of mine, but Fuller is actually a really good pick as well, former district attorney, very, very decent human being. So we'll see how that race shapes up. Better than the alternatives, those two, Tom Gray and Clay Fuller, than a lot of the alternatives. Now, let me tell you about Renai. My tankless water heater never fails to give me and my family hot water. You can have multiple people in the shower or the bath at the same time, and you're not going to run out of hot water with the Renai tankless water heater. You go to talkingtankless.com. Y'all, if you are in the market for a new water heater, you can ditch your tank and get a tankless water heater from Renai, and you will not run out of hot water. My power bill went down when we got rid of our tanks. So we had two small ones, one for downstairs, one for upstairs. And my power bill went down, and we no longer fight over hot water. My daughter has very long hair. She takes a long time in the shower, and you'd have to wait for the water heater to fill it back up again before the next person went in. Not anymore. Thanks to Renai. Go to talkingtankless.com. It's a great, if you're looking for an update, you can do this. If you're building a new house, you definitely want a tankless water heater from Renai, where you'll never run out of hot water in your house. Forever, you can have hot water thanks to Renai. Talkingtankless.com. You can go to that website to find out more details. Talkingtankless.com. Hello, America. It is Eric Erickson, and I am glad to have you with me. Now, we got to talk about murder-suicide. I am concerned that the Texas Republican Party is on the verge of a murder-suicide where they kill off all of our chances for a good midterm and then commit suicide in their chances. Here is the latest. It hit the wires yesterday. Texas Republicans are expressing alarm about a Republican state comptroller candidate, Don Huffines, for secretly purchasing Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico ranch. His LLC purchased the ranch in 2023 with the owner's name and purchase kept secret. It wasn't until after the LLC changed the name of a road and challenged property taxes in Santa Fe County, New Mexico, that through a public records request, ownership and property values were made public. Huffines' wife is listed as a trustee and his son as LLC manager. Huffines' campaign consultant said the proceeds of the purchase went to the victims. Epstein's estate attorney in 2023 said the proceeds went to cover the administrative costs and the creditors of Epstein's estate. Huffines is a multimillionaire and former state senator. He's running a campaign on government accountability and transparency. Critics argue the campaign pledge is the opposite of his actions with the ranch purchase. He could have invited state and federal investigators onto the property to do a forensic analysis, raise the buildings where the sex trafficking, rape, and other crimes committed against underage girls allegedly occurred. He could have donated to the victims fund. He could have built a memorial on the property, could have done a lot of things, and he didn't. So you've got a Texas Republican who bought Jeffrey Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, who's running, and tried to keep it all covered up. And then, by the way, you should know that more than one victim has come forward and said they were raped at that ranch by Jeffrey Epstein. 4,200 mentions of the ranch are in the Epstein files. FBI witness statements include a Native American who said Epstein paid her mother to bring her and other children to the ranch for many years, where they were forced into sexual violence with high-profile men. Ah, boy. Will the Republicans in Texas nominate this man and just, it'll be the gift that keeps on giving in the general election. The ads against him write themselves. It's like when Georgia Republicans nominated Herschel Walker, and I was like, hey, guys, you do know he held a gun to his ex-wife's head. The ads write themselves, and sure enough, they did. Republican women in Georgia rejected Herschel Walker at such a high rate that we have Raphael Warnock in the United States Senate. Now, in Texas, you could get a Democrat elected statewide if Texas Republican women are like, I don't know that I want to put in office the man who bought Jeffrey Epstein's ranch and tried to cover up that he was buying it. But then there's Ken Paxton. This is how bad the Texas Republicans, they've lost their minds. The Texas Republicans are about like the awfuls, the affluent white female urban liberals who are out harassing police officers, and they've gone insane, wanted to call defacts on TPUSA attendees at parties. The Texas Republicans have lost their minds. In addition to the guy who bought Epstein's ranch as the potential comptroller candidate, they are actually trying to elevate Ken Paxton. For those of you who don't know, Ken Paxton was reelected in 2022 in Texas, and he underperformed the other statewide Republicans at the time. People didn't like him to begin with. And then after 2022, it turned out the FBI had been investigating him. The only reason the Biden Justice Department decided not to prosecute Ken Paxton was because Donald Trump got elected and made it clear that he wouldn't continue the prosecution, so they never bothered to prosecute him. Otherwise, there are very good odds that Ken Paxton would be in federal prison right now. Why? Because 8 of his closest associates reported him to the FBI for bribery and corruption. 8 different people who worked for Ken Paxton reported him to the FBI. He was impeached by the Texas legislature. Hilariously, the only reason that he was not convicted in the impeachment trial was because his wife, Angela Paxton, was a state senator. And though she could not vote, she stood by her man and, is widely reported behind the scenes, urged the Republican senators to not convict him. And then after he was not convicted, turns out he had been serially cheating on his wife, and they've gotten a very spectacularly public divorce, a nasty divorce. So she protected her husband, and he wound up cheating on her. That's the man Texas Republicans want to replace John Cornyn with. Now, I have been a longtime critic of John Cornyn. I think Cornyn could be more aggressively assertive as a conservative. I think he could be more conservative. But if you tell me John Cornyn or Ken Paxton, hands down, John Cornyn any day of the week. He's not a serial cheater on his wife. He hasn't been investigated by the FBI after 8 of his closest associates reported him. Hasn't done any of those things. He hadn't bought Jeffrey Epstein's ranch like the comptroller candidate. Hasn't done any of those things. He's been a reliable vote for Republicans, for judges. He's been a reliable vote. He's been a reliable vote on defense. He's just not MAGA enough for some of these guys in Texas who'd rather go with the serial adulterer investigated by the FBI than a man who actually is morally upstanding compared to Ken Paxton. It's just wild to watch these guys, many of whom rub their faith in your nose, say this is the guy they need. Here's the problem with Ken Paxton for you and me and why Texas would be committing murder-suicide if they nominate Ken Paxton. Because Ken Paxton can still win. Texas is a Republican state. But the polling in Texas shows that if the Democrats don't nominate Jasmine Crockett and instead go with James Tallarico, the heretic, a lot of independents and even a good portion of Republicans would vote for Tallarico out of spite. Don't tell me they couldn't do it. Doug Jones won in Alabama against Judge Roy Moore, the conservative stalwart. Judge Roy Moore cost Republicans in Alabama. Doug Jones, the Democrat, got elected and went to the United States Senate because independents in Alabama couldn't stomach voting for Roy Moore. And the arrogance of these guys in Texas who think that independents will just bend over backwards and vote for Ken Paxton. Look at Alabama. Look at Georgia, where independents voted for Raphael Warnock instead of Herschel Walker. The arrogance of these people to think they can do it by themselves. No, you can't. You haven't chosen to be a team player. You don't want to be a team player. And you think you can force a guy like Ken Paxton down everyone else's throat. We saw this with Herschel Walker in Georgia. It was a bad idea. We saw it with Roy Moore in Alabama. You guys in Texas are about to commit a murder-suicide. The amount of money that would have to be poured into Texas to prop up Ken Paxton will cost us the ability to win against John Ossoff in Georgia, could cost us North Carolina, where Michael Whatley's in a dogfight against the very popular former Democratic governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper. Could cost us Maine, where you may not like Susan Collins, but she'll vote for a Republican majority instead of a Democratic majority. It could cost, Turner in Michigan, the Republican there. Every extra dollar that goes to Texas, we won't have to. If you nominate John Cornyn in Texas, the Republicans will not have to flood Texas with more money. Cornyn sells himself in Texas. He's a longtime state politician who is liked by independents. He's liked by Republicans outside of MAGA. He's liked by most people in Texas. He will get reelected, and you won't have to spend a lot of money to prop him up. Paxton, you'll have to pour a bunch of money in to try to get him over the finish line. And every extra dollar you spend on Ken Paxton is a dollar that's not going to be spent on congressional races elsewhere. That's not going to be spent on Senate races elsewhere. And here's the other problem for you Texas Republicans. Y'all started the redistricting fight that Republicans now look like they're going to lose. You redrew strong, safe Republican districts, and you made them weaker to eliminate as many Democrats as possible. If the backlash over the economy and Trump and Paxton is strong enough, you could take some perfectly reliable Republican seats and see them wiped out. Every dollar spent to save the Republicans in Texas because they're trying to commit a murder-suicide and the rest of us are trying to stop them, every dollar spent is a dollar that's not going to be spent in swing districts in Iowa, in Senate seat races like Georgia. Every dollar that we have to prop up Texas with is a dollar denied to everywhere else. So Texas, the Republican majority in the House and Senate is really on you right now. Are you willing to risk it all for a corrupt, investigated by the FBI, serial adulterer? Or are you willing to say, he's not my favorite, but Cornyn's at least a reliable enough vote. I would rather save the Senate and maybe help the House. Are you really willing to do this? Some of you are. Some of you simply don't care. You have decided to make it a purity test. You would rather your candidate, you would rather Ken Paxton, or lose the Senate. You don't care about the Senate. Some of you have convinced yourself that Ken Paxton can win because in 2022, before all this stuff came out, he won. And by the way, I am in the camp that I think it might be possible for Paxton to win. It's just such a heavy lift. The amount of money we have to send to Texas to get him across the finish line will deprive us of other seats. The arrogance of these people to push a man like Paxton. And by the way, all these people used to be all about character counts, character counts. We got to have people of good character, and they don't care about character anymore. They look around. This is the thing that's galling about the people backing Paxton, some of whom I know. They look around and think the United States is going to hell in a handbasket. So we got to fight. We got to send people to fight. John Cornyn doesn't fight. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. The country is going to hell in a handbasket. We got to send somebody to fight. They wish to put us in the handbasket to hell by sending a person like Ken Paxton. You think this country is going to turn around from the doldrums? We have a spiritual crisis in the country, and your solution to the spiritual crisis is a serial adulterer who has no shame about it, who's not out there saying, I'm sorry. He's not willing to confess his sins. He's denying it. He's lying it. He's lying about his corruption. He's lying about it. He has gone after the people who exposed him. He has no shame, no humility, and you people have the gall to think you have a Christian obligation to save this country and set it on its right path by putting a guy like Ken Paxton in the United States Senate. Good luck with that. You're going to ruin the rest of our chances to save the Senate and, frankly, to help the President of the United States push back against any impeachment from the House of Representatives if the Democrats win by propping a guy up like Ken Paxton. It's very much the same situation we've seen with Thomas Massie and the others. People who think that they can behave like Donald Trump never do well. Donald Trump is a singular force in American politics. People give him wide latitude to behave the way he does. It's baked into the equation. The rest of these people who think I'm going to be just like him, they wind up going down in flames. And that's what the Texas Republicans risk doing to all of us, is sending our chances of mitigating midterms down the drains with their arrogance to think the country is lost. We need to send a fighter to Washington, so let's send the most corrupt person we possibly can up there, and he will save us. No, he won't. If anything, you Paxton supporters who all claim to go to church and be super Christians, you people have fallen into the spiritual crisis of our age, and you don't even see it. Your souls themselves are part of the problem, and you've decided to fight a spiritual war with a politically flawed man, and you're just making the problem worse. And so eventually you'll get to the point where Paxton himself does not serve your purposes because he can't get something done, and you'll never recognize that it's you who brought on the problems, but you'll force the rest of us to deal with the fallout of your own arrogance. Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. I will continue. I like the Winter Olympics better than the Summer Olympics. I like the skeleton. I saw the solo bobsled last night. I was actually kind of struck, and I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but by the age of the American bobsledding women, they've been at this for quite a while, and they're very, very, very good, including one from near me in Douglasville, Georgia. They've done a very good job. Now, here at the end, I gotta put this story on your radar, which is kind of, oh gosh, no, wait, really? Oh, that's sad. Robert Duvall has died. Sorry, I was just, there's a story, a teacher in Chicago has been fired for supporting ICE. A public school teacher has been fired for supporting ICE. You can criticize ICE and want them dead and be fine in Chicago, but saying go ICE on your Facebook page gets you fired. Well, and now I see this. Robert Duvall has died, 95. He lived a good life. His wife, His wife is 54? Yesterday, we said goodbye to my beloved husband, cherished friend, and one of the greatest actors of our time. Luciana, 54, said on Facebook, adding the actor passed away peacefully at home, surrounded by love and comfort. What a fantastic actor, by the way. Just a great actor. My son watched. So my favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. I have loved that book since I was in 5th grade when I read it. And I love the movie, too. And the movie and the book, I mean, they're just, it's one of the very few like movie book combos where the movie is as good as the book. And he was Boo Radley in the movie. My son realized that. He was also in what? He was in Godfather, Apocalypse Now. He's been in so many fantastic movies over the years. Just a tremendous, tremendous actor. And he has passed away at 95. Also, a buddy of mine said he told his wife, and his wife says, "Who is Robert Duvall?" And he says, "Can you guys find me a cheap divorce lawyer? Who is Robert Duvall? He is Lonesome Dove." If you've ever seen the Lonesome Dove miniseries, Robert Duvall is just what an incredible actor he was. He will be missed. I guess we're at that point, where the actors that I grew up with as a kid, they're all dying off. Gene Hackman's dead. Now Robert Duvall is dead. All the great old actors are dying off. And someday my kids will think, this actor who I liked as a kid is dead, and it'll be someone who's younger than me. This is the world we live in these days. All right. Before I get out of here, let me actually focus on this story just a moment here, because this one really raised my hackles. The teacher's name is James Heldern. James Heldern is an educator at Gary Elementary School in West Chicago, and he put on his Facebook post, "Go Ice," last month. And the awfuls, the affluent white female urban liberals of Chicago, rose up against him and demanded he be fired. So he was pushed out of his job because he supported immigration and customs enforcement. Cancel culture, that the left says doesn't exist, they're very good at it. And they get very defensive when people on the right do the same to them. They get very, very defensive about it. But here in this situation is one where they're perfectly happy to fire a public school teacher for voicing wrong thought. Remarkable. Before I get out of here, I need to tell you about Vision Computers, and I want to explain this to you, particularly if you're listening out in California or Alaska or Hawaii. Vision Computers works with companies nationwide. So if you're down in Florida, you're up in Maine listening to me right now, Vision can be your managed IT. There are a lot of managed IT companies out there, and more of them are offloading capacity to AI chatbots, not Vision. With Vision, you get a phone number, and your employees can call them, and in 15 seconds or less, they're going to talk to an actual human being who is going to help them with their computer needs, whatever it is. If they've lost a file they know is there, they can't find it, Vision can. They're dealing with a potential scam or a potential hack, Vision can help them. They can do email support and printer support. And even though you're in Hawaii, they can remote in to help your company, and they can get you set up. And by the way, if you buy your computers from Vision Computers, the IT support comes free with each computer. It comes with the computer. So if you buy one of Vision Computers' computers for your house, you get their IT support for you in your home. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them Eric sent you. 404-COMPUTE, anybody nationwide, or go to visioncomputers.com. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.